So, di ba? Pinapaalala sa atin lagi when we are solving variation to take good care of our life. So, better do it. So, wag natin hintayin dumating sa point na pagsisisihan natin ang lahat. A happy day to all of you, my dear students. So dapat ganun tayo all year round. Happy lang kahit encounter tayo kahit anong problema sa buhay natin. So maging happy lang tayo. So let's take it positively. So maging positive lang tayo lagi. Let's just be happy. Happy it's because again today we are going to discuss another lesson in math. And you are also going to learn something in math again. So we are now on lesson number 3 for the second grading period. And this time we are going to discuss another kind of variation. So for our lesson number 3, we are going to discuss joint variation. So ito na yung pangatlong kind of variation na i-discuss natin. So una, discuss natin direct variation. At sinabay na natin direct square variation. Pangalawang discussion natin, we discussed inverse variation. So this time, we are going to discuss joint variation. So ano ba yung joint variation na yan? Yan na sinasabi natin. So para malaman natin, start na tayo. So, joint variation, if you are going to define it, it tells that if one quantity increases or decreases, the other two quantities also increases or decreases. So, meaning to say, ang joint variation is not anymore limited to two quantities. So, we have mentioned here more than two quantities. If one quantity increases or decreases, the other two quantities also increases or decreases. So, it involves more than two quantities. So, kung isipin mo mabuti yung definition of joint variation, parang ano lang siya, parang direct variation. Yung kaibahan nga lang niya, mas maraming quantity yung involved ng joint variation than direct variation. Pero yung way of translating statements are just the same. Kasi according to it, as one quantity increases or decreases, the other quantity also increases or decreases. Diba? Other two quantities. So increases pa rin. So parang joint variation, parang inverse, parang direct variation. So, kung parang direct variation siya, ibig sabihin, parang direct variation din, gagawin natin in order for us to translate statement of variation into symbols. So, let's try that later. So, ano pa ba yung kailangan natin malaman about joint variation? Sabi ito, in joint variation, the ratio of one quantity and the product of other quantities is constant. The ratio, balik tayo sa ratio, di ba? Parang direct ratio of one quantity. So, sa madaling salita, yung quantity na unang minention, yun yung nasa numerator, then yung other two quantities, ayun yung nasa denominator, product of it. Kasi pag multiply yung dalawa. That is in order for you to find out for the constant of variation. Then, in joint variation, it uses the statement varies jointly as. So, alam mo pa rin that you are dealing with joint variation once nakita mo yung statement na varies jointly as. So, in that way, malalaman mo kung paano ba isosolve yung given problem about that certain kind of variation. So, pag alam mong joint variation, so alam mo na isosolve mo yung problem na yun applying on how we solve joint variation. So just like the first two kinds of variation that we have discussed, so tingnan din natin kung paano ba natin tinatranslate yung statements of variation if it involves joint variation. So we do have here given statements of variation, then the other one is the translation of it into symbols. So unahin natin, first statement. So y varies jointly as x and z. So, three quantities tayo dito, y, x, z. So, again, when we translate it into symbols, diba, dalawa lagi yung translation natin. The translation of it the same way as we read it, and the other one is its translation in terms of k. So, yung unang translation natin, yung y na yon, that would be on the left side of the equation, that would be y is equal na kagad. So, kung same way na translation siya ng direct, so, product lang yun. So, that would be y is equal to k, then x, z, the product of the other two quantities. That would be y is equal to k, x, z. Yung y is on the left side, then x and z is on the right side together with k. Again, let us not forget that when we are translating statement of variation into symbols, kapag variation yan, k should always be there. So, wag natin kakalimutan yan. And the other translation is in terms of k. Sabi doon sa definition ng joint variation, it's the ratio of one quantity to the product of the other two quantities. So, it should be k is equal to y over x, z. Kung anong unang binanggit na variable ay yung numerator, then yung product ng dalawang huling variables involved, yun yung denominator of it. So that's how we translate statement of variation involving joint variation into symbols. Let's try another. A varies jointly as B and C. Pag translate natin yan the same way as we read it, that would be A is equal to KBC. Then its translation in terms of K, that would be K is equal to A over BC. So, unang binanggit, that would be the numerator, and the product of the other two quantities, that would be its denominator. Let's try another one. We do have here P varies jointly as Q and R. Take note again, ni-remind na natin the last time na dapat kung capital letters yung ginamit, capital din yung mag-a-appear to its symbols. Kapag small letters yung ginamit, small letters din sa symbol. So be mindful of that. So pag translate natin P varies jointly as Q and R, we do come up with P is equal to KQR. So again, nandun pa rin tayo kapag meron tayong magkatabing letters, katulad ng QR na to. So let us not forget na dapat naka-arrange pa rin siya kung paano yung arrangement in the alphabet. Kung sino pa rin mauuna in the English alphabet. Then when it comes to the translation in terms of K, so we do have K is equal to P over QR. Then another. So mas maganda yung translation pa lang naintindihan natin kasi sabi nga natin, di ba, kapag tama yung translation, the rest will follow. Ibig sabihin, tama rin yung mga susunod mong gagawin. So, next, C varies jointly as the square of D and the cube of E. So, it will be C is equal to K square of D now, that would be D squared, and the cube of E, that would be E cubed. Then for K, association in terms of K, that would be K is equal to C. On the side, nasa left side, ayun nasa numerator, yung dalawang quantities na nasa right side, ayun yung nasa denominator. So that's how we translate statements of variation into symbols involving joint variation. So see, it's just like direct variation. Yun nga lang kaibahan niya is that it involves more quantities, not just only two quantities. So in the case of this, it involves three quantities. So but the way of translating it is just like the way of translating direct variation. Then just like what we did on solving direct and inverse variation, direct square and inverse variation. So ganun din yung way na gagamitin natin to solve joint variation. Still, we are here going to apply the steps that we call life. So, di ba? Pinapaalala sa atin lagi when we are solving variation to take good care of our life. So, better do it. So wag natin hintayin dumating sa point na pagsisisihan natin ang lahat kung bakit hindi natin nagawa. So let's take good care of our life so that let us stay healthy. Maging healthy lagi tayo para umabot tayo kung sa gusto nating ma-achieve in life. So, take good care of our life. So, ano nga ba yung life again na yun? So, L stands for let's say statement of variation into symbols. I, its concept of variation should be find or should be sought. Then, third form, the equation of variation. Then, lastly, A, equation form should be used in solving for the unknown. So, that same steps that we applied on solving the first two kinds of variation are also the steps na apply natin in solving joint variation. Now, let's try it in solving joint variation. So, let's have example number 1. So, in example number 1, so we do have here the given problem. So, if A varies jointly as B and H, and A is equal to 60 when B is equal to 12 and H is equal to 10. So, find A when B is equal to 16 and H is equal to 14. So, unang-una hanapin again is the statement of variation. So, the statement of variation there is A varies jointly as B and H. So, that statement of variation is to be used in order for us to apply step number 1. So, we are going to translate that statement of variation into symbols. So, we're going to do it both ways again. So, we are going to translate it first, the same as we read it, and translate it in terms of K. So, A varies jointly as B and H. Ang first translation natin will be A is equal to K, B, H. So, parang direct variation, ipag-translate lang natin yan. If you already know on how to translate direct variation, so ibig sabihin, alam mo na rin on how to translate joint variation. Dadagdagan mo lang ng isa pang quantity yun. Pero karugtong na siya nung pangalawang quantity. Then in terms of K, that would be K is equal to A over BH. So look at this. Ang ginamit natin, capital A dito, then small letter B and H. So ganun din dapat when we translate it into symbols. Capital A pa rin yung makikita natin, and small letter B and H pa rin dapat. So yun dapat yung lagi natin tatandaan. So we have to be mindful of it. Then second step, using K is equal to A over BH, second form equation natin. So, and also using complete value of A, B, and H in the problem. Sabi ito, A is equal to 60, then B is equal to 12, and H is equal to 10. Substitute lang natin yan. That would be K is equal to 60 over 12 times 10. So, pwede tayong i-multiply ito na 60 times 12 over 10, 12 times 10 na 120, or pwede kang gumamit din ng cancellation. So you can cancel here 60 and 10. So magiging 6 na lang matita dito, magiging 6 over 12. Cancel mo yung 6 and 12, magiging 1 over 2. So that's why magiging value ng K natin is equal to 1/2. 1/2 pa rin naman magiging ano natin even if we just simply multiply 12 times 10. So 60 over 120. So when you reduce it into lowest term, that would be equal to 1/2. Then that value of K na 1/2, just simply substitute it to A is equal to KBH for us to form the equation of variation. So we do have here A is equal to BH over 2. So bakit BH over 2 na lang? Because the numerical coefficient na kasama na ng BH is already 1. If 1 is your numerical coefficient, usually you do not write 1 anymore. So that's why it will come up with BH then over 2. So that would be your equation of variation. Then lastly, using A is equal to BH over 2, that fourth equation in step number 3, we are going to make use of that for us to find out what is unknown in the problem. Sabi dito, find A So it was already equated into A when B is equal to 16 and H is equal to 14. Just simply substitute it. So A is equal to 16 times 14 all over 2. So pwede tayo mag-cancellation ulit or pwedeng direct multiplication to tapos divide by 2. Pero mas madali if we are going to apply cancellation. Just like, since both of them are divisible by 2, so doon ka na sa mas mataas. So dito tayo sa 16, divide by 2. So matitira dito ay 8. Maging 8 times 14 na lang. And 8 times 14 is equal to 112. So that's how we answer example number 1. So did you get example number 1? So baka rin hindi pa kasi that was just the first example. So let's try another example. So let's have here example number 2. So the problem is, if x varies jointly as y and z, and x is equal to 10, when y is equal to 2 and z is equal to 4. Find x when y is equal to 8 and z is equal to 12. So the statement of variation in that given problem is, x varies jointly as y and z. So that statement of variation is to be used to apply step number 1. So just translate that statement of variation into symbols. So, pag translate natin into symbols, that will be the same as, una, x is equal to k, y, z. And the other translation is in terms of k, that would be k is equal to x over y, z. Then, using the second form equation of k is equal to x, y, z, let's find out for the value of k or the constant of variation using complete value of x, y, and z in the problem. X is 10, and y is 2, and z is 4. To simply substitute it, x is 10 again, y is 2, and z is 4. So, pwedeng cancellation or pwedeng direct na, 2 times 4, that would be 8. Magiging 10 over 8. Since it's not exactly divisible, we can reduce it into lowest term. So that would be k is equal to 5 over 4. Acceptable na yan, even if it is improper fraction. As long as it's already the simplest form of it, then it's already acceptable as an answer. No need for you to transform it into a mixed form. So that's already enough as your answer for the value of k. K is equal to 5 over 4. Then using 5 over 4, that 5 over 4 is to be substituted on the first form equation na x is equal to k, y, z. So substituting it, we'll come up with x is equal to 5yz over 4. So since 5 ang numerical coefficient, ang numerator niya, kasama niya yung yz, then over 4. So that's the new form equation. That new form equation is to be used on the last step. So using that x is equal to 5yz over 4. So let us find out for the unknown. Sabi ito, find x when y is equal to 8 and z is equal to 12. Just simply substitute it. We do have x is equal to 5 times 8 times 12 all over 4. So we can do cancellation. Cancel natin 12 and 4 here. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 ang may iwan dito. So 5 times 4 is 40 times 3. We come up with 120. So the value of x is equal to 120. So that's how we answer example number 2. Hopefully, may mga ilan na nakakuha on how to solve joint variation. So para do sa para sa mas nakakarami pa, let's answer more examples. Let's solve example number 3 now. In example number 3, so problem is, if C varies jointly as A and B, and C is equal to 25 when A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 5, find A when C is equal to 50 and B is equal to 10. So let's take a look at first of the given statement of variation there. So the statement of variation is C varies jointly as A and B. So we have to translate it first so that those translations are to be used for us to solve that problem. So using the first step, Let's translate the statement of variation into symbols. Sabi natin kanina, you have to translate it correctly so that you will end up correctly. So C varies jointly as A and B. It will be C is equal to KAB. Puro capital letters yan so that makikita nyo dapat on your translation are capital letters. So, lagi tatandaan nyo na. Then, its translation in terms of K, that would be K is equal to C over AB. Then, using the second form equation of K is equal to C over AB, and using the complete value of C, A, and B in the problem, so I'll just simply substitute it. C is 25 when A is 3 and B is equal to 5. So that would be 25 over 3 times 5. So cancellation na lang yan. 25 and 5, that would be 5 here. So 5 over 3 ang matitira. So even though it's improper, again, just like what I mentioned, it's already enough as an answer. So K is equal now to 5 over 3. So that value of K is to be substituted to the first form equation na C is equal to KAB. So that magkakaroon tayo ng equation of variation na C is equal to 5AB over 3. And that equation form there na C is equal to 5AB over 3 is to be used. That would be the equation to use in order for us to find for the unknown in the problem. Pero ang hinahanap natin is A. Even though nandiyan sa A, but still we are going to make use of this equation. Find A when C is 50 and B is 10. Substitute lang natin, so magiging ganito. That would be 50 is equal to 10C, equal to 5 times A times 10 all over 3. So pag sinolve natin yan, cross-multiply natin. Ito yon. Muna, 50 times 3 is 150. 5 times 10 is 50. So magiging 50A over 150. So 50A over 150. Ay, 50A is equal to 150 rather. So since we are looking for A, so we have to divide both sides of the equation by 50. So magiging 150 divided by 50, that would be equal to 3. So the value of A is 3. So that's how we answer example number 3 on a problem involving joint variation. Nakuha na ba? So let's try another. Let's have example number 4 here. Example number 4, the problem is, if R varies jointly as Y and N, and R is equal to 36 when Y is 4 and N is 3, find N when R is equal to 90 and Y is equal to 8. So the statement of variation there is R varies jointly as Y and N. So translate it first using the first step. So R varies jointly as Y and N, so it will be R is equal to K and Y. So take note ha. Since product yan, so ano pa rin yung mauuna in the alphabet, yun pa rin yung way at susulat natin. Hindi siya R is equal to K, Y, N. Should be R is equal to K and Y. So let's do it correctly. So kasi mas awkward tignan kapag mauna yung Y than N. Diba? So, then in terms of K, that would be K is equal to R over N, Y. Then using the second form equation na K is equal to R over NY and using a complete value of R, Y, N in the problem. So let's find out for the value of K or the constant of variation. So R is 36 over 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Diba? 36 divided by 12. That would be 3. So the value of K there is 3. Then that 3 is to be substituted on the first form equation na R is equal to K and Y. Ito yun. So, substitute the value of K na 3, that will be equal now to R is equal to 3 and Y. And that new form equation, R is equal to 3 and Y, that is to be used in order for us to find out for what is unknown in the problem. So what we are looking for in the problem is find N when R is 90 and Y is 8. Again, this is N. So even though ito yung n. So still, we are going to make use of that same given equation that we formed on step number 3. Substitute lang naman natin yan eh. R is 90 when Y is 8. Pag substitute natin, magiging ganito. Magiging 90, that would be R, then 3n times 8, which is the value of Y. And 3 times 8 is 24. Magkakaroon tayo ng 24n. And 24n, para makuha mo yung value ng n, you have to divide both sides of the equation by 24. So since 90 is not exactly divisible by 24, so what we are going to do is you just simply reduce it into lowest terms. So magkakaroon tayo ng n which is equal to 15 over 4. So naging 90 over 24 yun eh. So that's divisible by 6. So both 90 and 24 are divisible by 6. Ayun tinatawag ng GCF. Ayun yung GCF nila. So the value of n is 15 over 4. So that's how we answer example number 4. Hopefully, nakuha na natin on how to solve joint variation. So let's try another example. I guess this is now the last example. So example number 5. So if Q varies jointly as I and G, and Q is equal to 21 when I is equal to 5 and G is equal to 4. Find Q when I is 7 and G is equal to 9. So the statement of variation is Q varies jointly as I and G. So let's translate that into symbols using the first step. So yung direct translation niya, the same as we read it, that would be Q is equal to KGI because G comes first to I in the alphabet. Then, its translation in terms of K, that would be K is equal to Q over GI. Then, using the second form equation na K is equal to Q over GI, so solve for K or the constant of variation using the value of Q, complete value of Q, I, and G in the problem. So Q is 21 when I is 5 and G is 4. So that will be 21 over 5 times 4. Wala naman tayong pwede ma-cancel out because 21 is not exactly divisible by 5, hindi rin exactly divisible by 4. So, multiply natin yung 5. So, 5 times 4 is 20. And 21 is not exactly divisible by 20. So, it will stay as it is. So, the value of K is 21 over 20. Then next, so, using that value of K, 21 over 20, substitute natin yan again to Q is equal to KGI. So, pag ginawa natin yon, we'll come up with the equation of variation as Q is equal to 21 GI over 20. So, yung GI na yon, that's the numerator. Kasi ano yan eh, KGI over 1. So, ang fraction yung over 1. So, yung GI is a numerator. So, kung numerator 21, kasama niya yung GI. Then, 20 yung nasa denominator part. So, last. So, using the new form equation of Q is equal to 21 GI over 20. So, find out for what is asked in the problem. Sabi to find Q when I is 7 and G is 9. So, substitute lang natin. Q is equal to 21 times 9 times 7 over 20. So, since wala naman tayong pwedeng masimplify dyan, let's multiply na lang 21 times 9 times 7 over 20. So, that would be 1,323 over 20. Hindi naman exactly divisible yung 1,323 by 20. And there are no common factors of 1,323 and 20 except 1. So, that will stay as it is. Even though if it's improper, that is already acceptable as an answer. As long as, again, it's already the simplest form of it. So that's how we answer example number 5. So again, that's how we solve examples on joint variation. Hopefully, natutunan nyo kung paano mag-solve ng joint variation. So that would be all for today. Goodbye, class!